Hey little dreamers! Ready for a magical bedtime adventure? Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss a sleepy tale. Let's go! Once upon a time, the morning smells of warm bread and rain-slick cobblestones drift softly under the gray dawn light, wrapping around the narrow alleys like a sleepy cat curling in a windowsill. A little girl with bare feet tiptoes over the cracked stones, each step leaving a soft splash in the puddles reflecting clouds like ships drifting above. She calls herself the Barefoot Princess of Nowhere, and today, the world feels ready for her soft, dandelion-crowned rule. Her cardboard palace leans gently against the bakery's brick wall, its paper windows fluttering in the breeze, as if sighing with the warmth of the nearby ovens. Luna's hands are smudged with grass stains from tying her morning crown, each dandelion's yellow head nodding proudly with the promise of tiny suns. She stands beside the bakery's back door, inhaling the sweet comfort of rising dough, and raises her stick scepter, wrapped in a scrap of silver foil that glints as the clouds part briefly for the sun to peek through. Her voice, bright but gentle, declares that today, all puddles are moats filled with imaginary lemonade, and any child brave enough to splash through them will be granted a wish, no matter how small or grand. The street is quiet except for the soft plop of water dripping from the rooftops, and Luna imagines each drip as a bell announcing her reign for the day. She kneels beside a particularly large puddle, her reflection wiggling with the ripples, dandelions framing her dirt-smudged cheeks like the petals of a golden flower. She sticks out her tongue at her reflection, and for a moment, the barefoot princess giggles at her own silliness. For what is a princess if she cannot laugh at herself while the world spins on, patient and gentle, around her kingdom of nowhere? The old man from the tailor's shop limps past, tipping an imaginary hat toward her, a ritual they both enjoy, though neither speaks a word. A cat slinks by, pausing to blink at Luna before moving on as if to say, "Yes, your majesty, I see you." She waves regally in return. A breeze rustles through the cardboard windows, and the scent of the bakery follows it like a whisper, reminding Luna that it is time to hold court. She sits cross-legged on the damp stones, ignoring the chill, and opens her small, scribbled notebook where she records each wish she grants, each decree she makes. A wish for a rainbow after rain. A wish for the missing sock to return from wherever socks disappear. A wish for the cat to find its way home. She writes them carefully, her handwriting looping and uneven, each letter like a stepping stone across her moat of lemonade. And so the morning passes in the kingdom of kindness, where the crown is made of dandelions, and the throne is the ground beneath the sky, and the people are every cat, every sparrow, every child with mud on their ankles, and every grown-up who dares to pause long enough to smile back at the little princess who rules with laughter and soft wishes whispered into the hum of the waking day. The morning has grown brighter in the kingdom of kindness, where the dandelions sway gently like small yellow suns under Luna's watchful eye. She drags her feet across the cobblestones, humming softly, letting the breeze kiss her hair and swirl the scent of warm bread around her like a comforting shawl. She stops before her throne, a wobbly tower of library books stacked carefully in the shadow of the cardboard palace, each book's spine cracked and loved, smelling faintly of ink and adventure. She lifts her scepter, the stick wrapped in foil, now dented from countless decrees, and waves it with regal flair, causing the soda tab bracelets on her wrists to jingle like a tiny silver orchestra announcing her presence. Her subjects are already waiting. A calico cat sprawls lazily in a patch of sunlight, eyes half closed, the tip of its tail twitching each time Luna's shadow crosses its whiskers. A pair of sparrows hop near Luna's outstretched palm, quick beaks darting in to snatch the breadcrumbs she sprinkles like royal gifts. She giggles, careful not to move too quickly, so the sparrows trust her long enough to brush against her fingers with their soft feathers. The breeze ruffles the pages of the top book on her throne, and Luna pats it gently, whispering, "Shoo, your majesty is speaking," to the wind. The villagers pass by, some pausing for a moment to watch the small, barefoot ruler of nowhere as she presides over her court with laughter and quiet dignity. The old tailor chuckles as he limps past, while a delivery boy balances a crate of oranges on his shoulder, slowing his steps just enough to catch a glimpse of Luna's scepter raised high, declaring another puddle to be a moat or a scrap of sidewalk to be a secret path to treasure. Her soda tab bracelets catch the sunlight, shimmering brightly, each jingle like the soft ring of a distant bell that promises there is still magic hidden between the bricks of the village. Then, on this ordinary morning painted with dandelion gold, something shifts. A hush drifts through the alley as a figure appears at the edge of Luna's realm. She is dressed in a velvet cloak, deep green with a lining that catches the light in a whisper of silver. Her shoes are polished, the shine so bright that Luna can see her own dandelion crown reflected in them as the girl steps closer, cautious but curious, eyes wide with the hesitance of someone who has always been told where to stand, how to smile, when to speak. Princess Esme, they call her in the castle that sits far beyond the cobbled streets, where walls are high and windows tall, where everything is polished and quiet and heavy with the weight of old words and older rules. Today, though, Esme stands on the uneven ground of the alley, where a cardboard palace leans gently in the breeze, where the air smells of bread and rain, and where a barefoot princess with dirt-smudged knees and a dandelion crown sits upon a throne of books. Luna looks up, eyes bright with recognition, as if she has been waiting for Esme all along, as if she has known that today, the Kingdom of Kindness would welcome a guest who did not yet know she needed to be there. Luna smiles, lifts her scepter with its crumpled foil shining like a secret star, and waves it in greeting, the bracelets chiming in the morning air. The sparrows flutter, the cat stretches, and the kingdom holds its breath for a heartbeat. And there, at the edge of the kingdom, Esme, the real princess, stands watching the barefoot princess with wonder in her blue eyes, the velvet of her cloak catching a stray breeze that smells of dandelions and warm bread, wondering, for the first time, what it might feel like to rule with laughter instead of laws. The breeze carries the soft scent of warm bread and damp stone as Luna's eyes lock onto Esme's, the world around them pausing for a quiet heartbeat. The sparrows scatter briefly, the calico cat lifts its head, and even the ripples in the puddles seem to still as the real princess steps into the kingdom of kindness, her polished shoes tapping gently on the cracked cobblestones. Esme's velvet cloak whispers around her ankles, catching the morning light in its folds, but despite the richness of her attire, there is something cautious, almost fragile, in the way she holds herself, as if she has wandered into a place she has only ever dreamed about. Luna grins, a mischievous spark in her hazel eyes, and without a word, she reaches into the pocket of her oversized t-shirt, pulling out a small, crumbled cookie. It's broken in half, the edges soft and uneven, but in Luna's hand, it becomes a feast, a royal offering, an unspoken promise that here, in this alley kingdom, there is enough for everyone, no matter how small or simple. She extends the cookie toward Esme with her foil-wrapped scepter still tucked under her other arm, her soda tab bracelets chiming a soft welcome. Esme hesitates. Her eyes flicker to her shoes, to the puddles she would have been scolded for stepping in, to the dirt smudges on Luna's bare legs, to the cardboard palace swaying gently in the breeze, and then, finally, back to Luna's bright, unguarded smile. Slowly, carefully, as if afraid the moment might break, she lifts her hand and takes the half cookie, her fingers brushing against Luna's, the touch light but electric with the promise of something new, something real. Luna's grin widens, and she drops down onto her book throne, patting the space beside her with the easy confidence of someone who knows exactly who she is and what her kingdom stands for. Esme looks at her polished shoes again, then at the puddles, and finally, with a breath that carries away the weight of distant halls and whispered rules, she steps forward. She lifts the edge of her velvet cloak and tucks it under herself as she sits on the books, the fabric pooling around her in the dirt, the polished shoes peeking out like small moons in the morning light. For a moment, Esme sits stiffly, her back straight, her hands resting carefully in her lap as if she is waiting for someone to correct her posture, to remind her of the rules she has broken simply by being here. But Luna leans in close, her crown of dandelions nearly brushing against Esme's cheek, and whispers, "You're allowed to laugh here." Esme's lips twitch, her blue eyes shimmering, and then slowly, like dawn creeping across the cobblestones, A smile breaks across her face. Luna lifts her scepter, declaring the half-cookie a feast for two, and together, they take small bites, giggling as crumbs fall onto their laps, as the sparrows inch closer, hoping for a taste, as the breeze catches their laughter and carries it down the alley like a soft promise that here, in this place of dandelion crowns and puddle moats, a princess does not need to wear the weight of a golden circlet to be seen as royal. And for the first time, as the morning light paints soft halos around them, Princess Esme feels like a princess without the heavy silence of a castle, without the careful steps of polished shoes, without the cold echo of empty halls. Here, beside Luna in the kingdom of kindness, with crumbs on her skirts and laughter in her chest, she feels like a princess who can simply be a child, free and seen, under a sky that belongs to them both. A soft breeze stirs the alley, lifting the edge of Esme's velvet cloak as she sits beside Luna, crumbs on her lap, laughter still catching in her throat like a hiccup of sunlight. Luna swings her bare feet, tapping the cobblestones as she finishes the last bite of cookie, licking the crumbs from her fingers without a care, her dandelion crown tilting forward with each movement. She leans close to Esme, whispering, "Welcome to the kingdom of kindness," as if it is a sacred secret meant only for those who dare to sit on books and let crumbs fall onto royal skirts. Together, they decide the kingdom needs expanding. Luna hops down from the book throne, her bracelets jingling, and rummages in a nearby crate, pulling out a tattered red mitten. She holds it high, proclaiming it a royal banner, and with Esme's help, they tie it to the fence post at the edge of the alley, where it flutters like a flag in the morning breeze. Esme's eyes sparkle as she steps back to admire their work, her laughter bubbling up again as Luna salutes the mitten with her scepter, the foil catching the light. "Currency," Luna declares suddenly, bending to scoop up a handful of fallen leaves, their colors muted browns and yellows. She hands one to Esme with great ceremony, explaining that in the kingdom of kindness, leaves are traded for jokes, smiles, and wishes. Esme, with royal grace, accepts the leaf and in return offers a small, shy curtsy so dramatic that the calico cat watching them flicks its tail in approval before curling back into its nap. Luna claps her hands, delighted, and drops into an exaggerated curtsy of her own, nearly losing her balance as her crown slips over one eye. Esme giggles, reaching out to steady the crown, her fingers brushing Luna's hair, a moment of quiet connection in the small kingdom they are building together. For a breath, the world seems to hush, the soft whisper of leaves in the breeze and the distant coo of pigeons the only sounds filling the space around them. The day unfolds gently, the sky shifting from pale morning to the soft gold of approaching afternoon, as Luna and Esme continue to build their kingdom with the tools of childhood and imagination. They drape old socks and mittens over fence posts, each one becoming a royal banner, a sign of welcome to anyone who might wander by and dare to believe in kingdoms built on laughter and kindness. They lay out pebbles in winding paths, declaring them roads to adventure, and tuck wildflowers into cracks in the bricks, transforming the alley into a blooming garden fit for queens with bare feet and velvet cloaks. The villagers begin to pause longer now, lingering near the alley's entrance, watching as the two princesses work side by side. Some smile softly, their eyes reflecting a memory of days when they, too, believed a single leaf could buy a wish. Others shake their heads with a quiet chuckle, amused by the sight of the velvet-cloaked princess curtsying to a cat or the barefoot princess bowing low to a mitten fluttering in the breeze. But some stay, leaning against walls, allowing themselves to listen as Esme and Luna trade jokes for leaves, granting wishes whispered softly into the air, the alley filling with laughter that rises up to meet the shifting clouds above. The kingdom of kindness is growing, each banner, each leaf, each soft giggle adding to its quiet magic, turning the cracked cobblestones into a royal road, the cardboard palace into a true fortress of warmth, and the children into its first, most loyal citizens. And as the sun drifts lower, casting long shadows that dance on the ground, Luna and Esme pause, looking at what they have created together. A kingdom with no walls, no guards, no heavy crowns, only the promise of kindness and the freedom of laughter shared beneath the endless sky. Afternoon light drifts lazily through the alley, turning the mitten banners into small flags of color that sway gently in the warm breeze. The kingdom of kindness feels alive, each leaf currency fluttering like a promise, each puddle shimmering as a moat under the endless, forgiving sky. Luna sits on her book throne, legs swinging, crown of dandelions slightly wilted but still golden, while Esme stands beside her, cloak gathered in her arms to keep it off the damp cobblestones, her eyes soft with a smile that has become easier with each passing hour. Then, a small sound breaks the soft hum of the kingdom, a quiet sniffle, the uneven patter of footsteps on the stones. Luna looks up, squinting into the light, and sees him. A boy no older than 6, with a scraped knee, dirt on his cheeks, and tears leaving shiny tracks down his face. His shoes are untied, laces dragging, and he limps slightly as he approaches the edge of the kingdom, unsure if he is allowed to enter a place where laughter feels like sunshine. Luna's eyes brighten, and she hops down, her bracelets jingling softly. She rummages in her pocket, pulling out a small, smooth pebble, its surface painted with a single yellow star. She walks over, careful not to startle him, and kneels so they are eye level. With the calm authority of a queen who knows her power, she presses the pebble into his small, trembling hand and declares, "This is a bravery jewel. You've earned it." The boy blinks, looking down at the stone, his tears pausing as if surprised by this unexpected gift. Esme steps forward, her cloak brushing against the ground, and kneels as well, reaching out gently to lift the boy's untied shoelace. With careful, patient fingers, she ties it into a neat bow, finishing with a small tug that makes the knot firm. She looks up at him with her soft blue eyes and says, "A hero's shoes should always be ready for the next adventure." The boy's lip quivers, and then, slowly, a small, grateful smile appears as he clutches the bravery jewel in one hand and wipes his tears with the other. He leaves the alley, turning back once to wave shyly, the pebble still clutched in his fist, and Luna and Esme wave back, their hands high, their faces bright. The next day he returns, his knee bandaged, his walk steadier, and beside him is a girl, even smaller, with wide eyes and a gap-toothed grin. She holds out a handful of dandelions, their yellow heads bright as small suns, and offers them to Luna and Esme, explaining in a voice full of excitement that they are for their crowns, so they will never forget to rule with kindness. Word spreads, as softly and surely as dawn, that the kingdom of kindness is a place where a scraped knee earns you a jewel, where shoelaces become ribbons of courage, where dandelions can be crowns. Children begin to wander in, carrying leaves, pebbles, and small treasures from their pockets to trade for jokes, stories, and quiet wishes whispered into the breeze. The alley fills with laughter, with the rustle of banners, with the small, important sounds of childhood being honored like the precious magic it is. Soon, the baker begins leaving out day-old muffins on a crate, declaring it a royal feast for the princesses and their guests, while the grocer donates an old wooden crate, which Luna and Esme decide is to be used as a drawbridge, connecting the puddle moats with the steps of the cardboard palace. Each morning, the kingdom grows. One muffin, one dandelion, one small brave wish at a time, under the watchful eyes of a barefoot princess and a princess in a velvet cloak, ruling side by side in a place where kindness has become the only law that matters. Not everyone was charmed by the kingdom of kindness and its barefoot monarchs. One afternoon, as Luna was proclaiming a newly discovered puddle to be the lake of secret wishes, and Esme was tying a blue mitten to a fence post with practiced care, the mayor walked by, his shoes clicking sharply against the cobblestones like small hammers pounding on the quiet magic of the alley. He stopped, arms folded across his chest, his eyebrows knitting together as he looked around at the mitten banners, the leaf currency scattered like treasure, and the children gathered in soft clusters, trading pebbles for whispered wishes. His eyes landed on Luna, who was barefoot, mud between her toes, her dandelion crown slipping to one side, and on Esme, the princess in her velvet cloak, kneeling in the dirt to help a child tie a leaf into a ring. "Humph," he muttered, loud enough for the children to hear. "Princesses shouldn't sit in the dirt." Real crowns don't wilt by sundown." His words fell like small stones, rippling through the children, who looked to Luna and Esme for reassurance, their treasures clutched tightly in small hands. Luna tilted her head, eyes bright with mischief, and stepped forward, her bracelets jingling. Without a word, she reached up and tucked a fresh dandelion behind the mayor's ear, the yellow petals brushing against his graying hair. The children giggled softly, the alley holding its breath, waiting to see if the spell of kindness would crack under the weight of the mayor's frown. For a moment, the mayor froze, hand lifting toward the dandelion as if to pluck it away. But then he caught a glimpse of himself in a puddle, the yellow flower bobbing behind his ear, and something in his eyes softened, just for a moment. He turned and walked away, shaking his head, but the dandelion remained. But that night, under the hush of twilight, as fireflies began to dance between the mitten flags, Esme's laughter faded. She sat beside Luna on the book throne, her velvet cloak wrapped tightly around her shoulders, eyes distant and clouded with worry. Luna noticed, poking at Esme's arm with her scepter until Esme finally turned to meet her gaze. "What if they're right?" Esme whispered, her voice barely louder than the rustling of the leaves above them. "What if my parents find me? What if I'm not a real princess without my castle? Without the heavy crown?" Her hands twisted in the fabric of her cloak, her blue eyes shimmering with the weight of fears that felt too big for her small shoulders. Luna's smile softened and she slid closer so their shoulders touched. She lifted her dandelion crown from her head, placing it carefully onto Esme's, the petals brushing against Esme's hair, leaving a faint scent of green and gold. "Real kingdoms," Luna whispered, her voice like the warm breeze drifting through the cardboard windows, "are built on kindness, not stone." They sat together in the quiet kingdom, the glow of fireflies painting soft constellations around them, the cardboard palace behind them swaying gently with each breath of the night. The alley was quiet, but it was a quiet filled with warmth. The rustle of leaves, the distant chirp of a night bird, the whisper of the breeze promising that tomorrow would come, and the kingdom would still be here, waiting. Esme reached up, touching the dandelion crown now resting on her head, and for the first time that evening, a small, real smile returned to her lips. She leaned against Luna, the two princesses sitting in the dirt, under the stars, wearing crowns that would wilt by morning but would bloom again the next day, in a kingdom where kindness was stronger than any stone wall could ever be. The morning after the fireflies danced around their dandelion crowns, the kingdom of kindness awoke to the soft sounds of footsteps, many footsteps, echoing along the cobblestones. Luna stretched from her cardboard palace doorway, her bare feet brushing the cool morning stone, her dandelion crown freshly made and perched proudly upon her head. Esme, her green velvet cloak still around her shoulders, peeked out, blinking against the gentle dawn light, as the alley slowly filled with villagers carrying hammers, nails, and planks of scrap wood. At first, Luna tilted her head, puzzled, her bracelets jingling as she lifted her scepter to greet them. Children tugged at their parents' hands, whispering about the bravery jewels, the mitten banners, and the leaf currency, pointing eagerly at the cardboard palace that had become the heart of their quiet kingdom. The baker arrived, a warm smile on his flour-dusted face, balancing a tray of day-old muffins, while the grocer rolled in a crate of apples, declaring it a royal feast for the builders. And then the mayor arrived, the dandelion Luna had tucked behind his ear now pinned carefully to his vest, a quiet, thoughtful look on his face. He stood for a moment, taking in the mitten flags swaying in the soft breeze, the leaf paths, the children laughing as they darted between puddles, and the two princesses watching with wide eyes from their book-throne steps. With a soft sigh, he rolled up his sleeves. And so the work began. Hammers tapped softly against wood, the rhythm like a heartbeat pulsing through the alley. Old planks were lifted, measured, and nailed together under the watchful eyes of the children, who offered leaves and pebbles as payment for each new piece of the structure. The mittens and socks that had been tied to fences were carefully unknotted and set aside, to be banners once more when the kingdom found its new form. Luna and Esme worked alongside them, Luna holding nails steady while Esme used her small hands to brush away sawdust. Her cloak tied around her waist to keep it out of the way. Her blonde hair pulled back with a piece of twine gifted by a young child who wanted to help. The baker handed out muffins, breaking them in half so every child could share, while the grocer sliced apples, the scent sweet and fresh, drifting with the morning breeze. By the time the sun reached its highest point, a small playhouse stood in the alley, built from the scrap wood of a dozen sheds and fences, each piece carrying the history of the village within its grain. The door was just tall enough for a princess to step through with a curtsy, and the roof was lined with bottle cap shingles that glinted in the sunlight like jewels. A small window framed with mismatched boards opened toward the puddles, and a crate was placed nearby to serve as a drawbridge, leading across the moat of water that Luna declared to be enchanted. Esme, with careful precision and a small smile that glowed like sunrise, hung the first mitten banner from a nail near the door, letting it flutter in the breeze as a sign that this was a place of welcome, of stories, of wishes granted for the price of a leaf or a kind laugh. Luna clapped her hands, bracelets ringing, and announced the opening of the newly rebuilt Kingdom of Kindness, her voice carrying down the alley like a song. The children cheered, their voices rising and falling like the flapping of sparrow wings, while the villagers, standing with hammers still in hand, shared quiet smiles, the kind that come when something simple and true has been built together, piece by piece, kindness by kindness. And as the sun dipped lower, painting the alley in soft gold, the mayor leaned against the bakery wall, his dandelion badge catching the light, and watched as Luna and Esme opened the small mailbox nailed to the front of the playhouse, pulling out slips of paper where children had written wishes, drawings, and promises to share laughter tomorrow. By dusk, the Kingdom of Kindness had walls, a flagpole with mitten banners dancing in the breeze, and a mailbox ready to catch every wish whispered into the soft air, a promise that the kingdom would remain as long as kindness was willing to build it. Years passed softly in the Kingdom of Kindness, like the hush of dandelion seeds drifting on a warm breeze, landing quietly wherever the wind chose to place them. Seasons turned, one after another, carrying the laughter of children down the alley, wrapping around the corners of the bakery, and brushing against the wooden walls of the playhouse that had grown sturdy under the gentle weight of small dreams. Esme, one spring morning, returned to her castle beyond the village, where high windows framed sunsets and marble floors echoed with footsteps that were always a little too careful. She left wearing her velvet cloak, freshly brushed and repaired, but tucked in the folds of its deep green were leaf currencies, pebbles painted with stars, and a crumpled piece of paper on which a child had scrawled, "Thank you for teaching me to curtsy so big the cats clapped." She carried the Kingdom of Kindness with her, in her pockets, in her memories. In the soft way she learned to laugh without checking if it was allowed. Yet the kingdom did not fade when Esme's polished shoes walked down the alley one last time. It remained, alive and gentle, under Luna's watchful eyes and warm, mischievous grin. The playhouse stood proudly, its bottle-cap shingles catching the light of every dawn, its mitten banners dancing in the breeze. The mailbox, painted in faded blues and yellows, filled each day with wishes and drawings, leaves carefully tucked inside as payment for the kingdom's unspoken promise to keep them safe. Each morning, Luna rose with the sun, slipping on her crown of freshly picked wildflowers, the dandelions joined now by daisies and tiny white clover blooms, a small garden of kindness resting on her tangled hair. She would open the playhouse door, sweeping out the leaves that had drifted in overnight, and place a muffin from the baker on a small wooden plate, a feast for whichever visitor might come seeking a place where kindness was the only rule. Children came, whispering their wishes into the mailbox, their small fingers brushing the cool metal before they ran off to chase sparrows between puddles that Luna still declared to be enchanted moats. Sometimes a child would pause, watching Luna as she sat in the rocking chair the baker had donated, its gentle creak a lullaby for the kingdom, and they would smile, holding up their fingers like a crown, whispering, "I decree kindness," before running off, laughter trailing like ribbons in the air. And when Luna was tired, when the sun dipped low and the alley glowed with the soft blue of twilight, She would sit on the doorstep of the playhouse, the warmth of the day still clinging to the wood, and watch as the stars began to blink softly awake above her kingdom. She would remember Esme's laughter, the way the velvet cloak would swirl in the breeze, the serious way she had learned to curtsy so deeply the cats would twitch their tails in applause. Sometimes, villagers would walk by in the evenings, slowing their steps as they passed the playhouse, the mitten banners now faded but still dancing softly, the leaf currency scattered like tiny promises around the doorstep. They would smile, a quiet, thankful smile, before continuing on, leaving behind the soft echo of the kingdom's gentle reign. The kingdom of kindness had no borders, no guards, no locked gates or heavy crowns. It had puddles that turned to moats in the imagination, leaves that could buy laughter, pebbles that became bravery jewels, and mittens that turned into royal banners. It had a cardboard palace that once leaned against a bakery wall, and a wooden playhouse built with the hands of a village. And it had Luna, the barefoot princess who ruled it all, a ring of wildflowers on her head. Her laughter still bright enough to turn any place into a kingdom for anyone who believed that kindness was enough. Now, dear listener, it's your turn. The kingdom of kindness is still here, waiting quietly beneath the hush of dawn and the soft hush of dusk, in the places where puddles reflect the sky and a single dandelion can be a crown if you believe it can. You do not need to be barefoot, though you can be if you wish. You do not need a velvet cloak, though any old sweater will do if it makes you feel braver. You do not need a cardboard palace or a wooden playhouse or mitten banners dancing in the breeze, though if you find a place that feels safe enough for laughter, you will have found your own kingdom. You only need this moment, this breath, this quiet hush around you now. Hold up your fingers, just like Luna did, just like Esme learned to do when the fear of heavy crowns and quiet halls was too much. Curve them softly, like petals opening, until they form the shape of a crown above your head. Doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to look like a crown anyone else would recognize. It only has to be yours. Whisper softly, so softly that only you and the gentle air around you can hear it. I decree kindness. Feel it. That small, warm spark that blooms in your chest, like a dandelion seed catching the breeze, drifting out into the world, ready to land wherever it is most needed. That is the magic Luna left for you, tucked into each laugh, each small act of courage, each moment you choose kindness even when it would be easier not to. Somewhere in the kingdom of kindness, Luna is smiling. Maybe she is tying a dandelion behind someone's ear. Maybe she is placing a bravery jewel into a trembling hand. Maybe she is helping someone tie their shoelaces so they are ready for their next adventure. Maybe she is sitting quietly, letting the sun warm her face, listening to the soft sound of laughter drifting on the breeze. And maybe, if you listen carefully, you will hear the soft jingling of soda tab bracelets, the creak of a rocking chair, the gentle flapping of mitten banners, and the distant giggles of children chasing sparrows through puddles that have turned, once again, into moats of lemonade. Because you too are part of the kingdom of kindness now. And whenever you need it, on mornings when the world feels heavy, on afternoons when laughter feels far away, on evenings when the sky darkens and your shoulders feel tired, you can hold up your fingers like a crown and whisper that quiet promise to yourself, planting it like a seed inside your heart. I decree kindness. And the kingdom will grow around you, just as it grew around Luna, around Esme, around every child who believed that a crown could be made of dandelions and that kindness was enough to build a kingdom worth waking up for. And now, dear listener, the kingdom of kindness grows quiet, the mitten banner swaying gently in the soft hush of evening, the warm glow of twilight slipping across your room like a comforting blanket. The world slows down here, puddles reflecting the last light of the day, each ripple softening until it is still, a mirror for the sky. Take a slow, gentle breath, letting it fill your chest softly, then let it out like a sigh of dandelion seeds drifting out into the hush. Let your shoulders soften, your eyes grow heavy, your thoughts drifting like those soft seeds, finding a quiet place to rest. There is no need to hurry. There is no need to worry about tomorrow. In this moment you are safe and you are kind, and you are part of something gentle that the world will always need. Imagine Luna's warm smile, the jingling of her bracelets, the whisper of Esme's velvet cloak in the breeze, the softness of the dandelion crown resting on your own head, reminding you that even the smallest moments of kindness can build something lasting and beautiful. You are in the kingdom of kindness now, and it will always be here when you need it. When you need a quiet place to remember how soft the world can be, how bright laughter can sound, how even a pebble can become a bravery jewel if you hold it close enough to your heart. Let yourself drift now, eyes closing softly, breath slow and gentle, as the stars blink awake above your kingdom. Each one a small promise that tomorrow will come, and you will rise, and kindness will rise with you. Sleep well, dear listener. You are safe. You are kind. You are loved.